Okay, hello Cloud Gurus and welcome to this lecture. This lecture we're going to look at how we can enforce encryption on S3. So how can we ensure that when we go and visit an S3 URL, we're always going to use HTTPS and not HTTP? Well, the answer to that is by using bucket policies. So here is a bucket policy. I've struggled trying to get all the JSON into one slide, but hopefully you can see that. So let's just go through and have a quick look at how it works. So we've got the version here, we've got our statement, we've got our statement ID. So we're calling this public read get object. The effect is allow. The principal is basically anyone within AWS. The action is get S3 get object, and then the resource is the bucket. So in here, we're allowed to go in and get the bucket. Then we also have a corresponding opposite, which is a deny. So remember, a deny or an explicit deny always trumps an allow. This, we're going to deny the principal AWS, the S3 get object, the resource. So everything is exactly the same apart from these three lines here. Condition, and then bool. So this just stands for boolean. Boolean is either true or false. And basically we're saying AWS secure transport equals false. So we're saying here that we're going to deny on the condition that it's not using secure transport. So in that case, it's not using SSL. So we're going to deny it, and that will trump and allow. However, if it is using SSL, then we will be able to go and be able to read that object. So let's log into the S3 console and see this in action. Okay, so here I am in the S3 console. I'm just going to go down to storage and click on S3 or the AWS console. I'm going to go into the S3 console. If we scroll all the way down, we're going to my A Cloud Guru security bucket. In here, we have our hello.txt. If you go over and have a look at the permissions, if you remember, we added read permission to this bucket. So we basically said everyone is allowed to read this object. It is public. The bucket itself is not public. However, if I click on the bucket name and I go over to permissions and I go over to my bucket policy, I'm going to paste this bucket policy in here. I'll save it for you as a resources section in the course. And then all we need to do is copy and paste this ARN. And I'm going to paste it over here. Remember always the / and star after your ARNs in order to make this policy works. Cannot stress that enough for the exam. You will be quizzed on that. And so go ahead and paste in your ARN in here. We need to do it twice. And so essentially, like I just said, we are essentially here saying that we're going to allow access to everything, but we are going to put a deny on that allow, but on the condition that AWS secure transport equals false. So we're going to say it needs to be encrypted. I'm going to go ahead and hit save. Straight away, you can see it's changed the permissions to the entire buckets. The entire bucket is now public. If we go back over to overview and click on our hello.txt, got our link here. Click on the link. You can see it says Hello Cloud Gurus. If we actually go up to the URL, you can see it in here, HTTPS, and then it's S3. So what we want to do is change this over to HTTP rather than HTTPS, and go ahead and hit refresh. So it did cache my, my last one, which is why it didn't seem to work, but I hit refresh and you can see straight away access denied, access denied. Now, the reason this is access denied is because I'm not accessing it through HTTPS anymore. I'm just accessing it through HTTP. If I change that over to HTTPS and hit refresh, and I'm just going to copy and paste this into my clipboard because you can get caching issues. So here in here, let's hit refresh, and there you go. You can see that it is working here, HTTPS S3-EU West 1, and then Hello Cloud Gurus. Okay, so my exam tips, if you want to ensure that every time you go and read from your S3 bucket that it is encrypted, then you just want to add this to a bucket policy, and you just want to add a boolean saying that AWS secure transport is false. So if it is false, then put a deny. That's what we just did. Or alternatively, you could say you're only able to access this if AWS Secure Transport is true. You could do it either way. So we just did it. We made everything true except for if there's no HTTPS, then we made it false. So just remember AWS Secure Transport. Now remember, this is a bucket policy and this only applies to objects within that bucket. So that is it for this lecture, guys. In the next lecture, we're going to talk about cross-region replication and encryption. So if you've got the time, please join me in the next lecture. Thank you.